Hello again, I'm Dean Jones, President and CEO of Realogics, Sotheby's International Realty, and this is Broker Perspectives. This time, very special guest with our favorite, Natalie Grande Kelly. She is our VP of Learning and Development. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
You are a magician, a true unicorn when it comes to creating that balance of inspiration, education, and activation. Let's ask a personal question. Playing off of our meeting with Simon Sinek at Level Up, and of course, the famous question of why. What is your why?
My why has always been to support other people. Again, being a twin and having that, not just the sympathy for other people, but really the empathy and being able to put myself in that other person's shoes and know okay, this person may be, fed up with something that's happening on their computer, let's just say. And I can hear them across the hall. I'm like, all right, I feel the energy shifting here, right? I'll go over there, hey, what can I help you out with? What's happening here? I just like to give people peace and serenity, and whatever I can do to support them, to get them there. If it's in my power, I'm happy to give.
You're such a great problem solver, and of course that shows up in abundance with the educational programs. But let's ask a couple questions about your backdrop and kind of your pathway into this division. I understand you have a identical sister, and I imagine it would be important to stand out in your career path and even within your family. Tell us a little bit about your history and how you've gotten to be in this position and be so darn passionate about your role.
Sure. Offline, we were chatting a little bit about the way we grew up, and it was a very disciplined household. Sure. So that's something that's intrinsic in me. We were a little bit of a yin and a yang. So where she had strengths, she would support me, and I had strengths, I would support her. And I think that comes with that kind of symbiotic, living household. And I think the biggest thing that I learned from that was supporting another person. Yeah. When another person is down or needs something, I'm right there because it's the equal thing on the opposite side. If I need support, I knew that she would be there. So I think that really has helped me in my career with coaching and supporting our brokers. I see that someone has a need or they need something that I'm able to provide for them that they aren't able to provide for themselves. I'm right there to support them 100% when they need that.
That's why you are so beloved in this company, and it's a cultural piece that is gluing us all together, and everybody wants to ascend. Let's talk about your backdrop leading up to Realogics Sotheby's International Realty. Have you always been in an educational and support platform for companies?
Yeah, so I've been in real estate for 22 years, and I started from being a file clerk and worked my way up. And I've been in training for about 10 years. So that's where I find a lot of joy. I had previously been on the front-facing operations as an office manager for an office of over 100 people, a couple different offices included, staff of 5. And I ended up finding out that a product would be launched. It would be a marketing or a tech product. And I would be the person that had to figure it out, create training tutorials for our brokers. I mean, to be honest with you, a lot of our brokers, their focus is sales.
Right.
Marketing and tech is not their forte.
It's intimidating too for some.
Right. And I was really grateful that during college, I was like, hey, I'm a sponge. Give me this opportunity. I had that grit to do it. And they allowed me to develop in that area. And when I saw that the need of training tutorials were needed for brokers, we have a broker who only learns well in an auditory way by hearing. We have another person that needs their hand held because they're a visual learner. I kind of learned all of those things on hand and then did a lot of studying, did some training and coaching. I've completed the Ninja Leadership coaching and other things where you learn about the different personalities and different ways to host meetings and how to train people. I think was really supportive for me in knowing that what I learned in my own practice and then being able to apply that. I'm like, hey, I got it right here, or here, this is where I need to update where I'm putting this out in our work field. And yeah, I think that's really where I'm at
It's
now.
so important because in this industry, and especially with our company, there's so many offerings. We have so many distinct advantages, and there's tech tools, and there's marketing best practices, and there's really divisions such as referrals and new developments, and of course, resale. And there's so much to learn. Tell us about Accelerate and how you are creating a curriculum of those learnings in a group format, and how those collaboration hours are really inspiring our agents.
Sure. I had previously been in a department with 40 instructors. And so kind of whittling that down into a smaller company with 6 offices and a lesser amount of instructors really gave me perspective on hearing from brokers, because I'm spending more time with them versus being in my own silo, studying and producing trainings. I'm hearing from our brokers what we need. And especially with the branch managers that they have, they give that feedback. So what we're doing with the whole project Accelerate is that we're launching trainings that our brokers are wanting to hear about. And not every single session is going to be for every single person. We may have something that's going to be focused more for marketing. Maybe you're going, that's not my thing. I have a virtual assistant that does that all for me, or a personal assistant. That's fine. It's not necessary that you attend. So it's going to be something for everyone across the board in all of our different sessions. So what we found with the first quarter of our previous Project Accelerate was that the people that attended our sessions grew their production year over year, quarter compared to quarter, of 20%.
Wow.
That means that people are focusing on their business during that quartile, and that was Q1 of 2025. So we're trying to reproduce the same thing. And now we're going to be launching back in the new year a few different sessions. So we have upcoming December 10th, we're going to be focusing on AI, specifically crafting your intelligence with the CRIT methodology, which we're going to be hearing a lot about from the Sotheby's International Realty with Sandesh. So he has a session coming up right before that. Our session is going to be an hour behind his. We'll do a watch party here in Bellevue, have him on screen, hear what he has to say, and then we'll launch into our one-on-one support with you all and help you learn more about that methodology. Then on January 14th, we're going to be doing Price It Right, Win the Fight, strategic pricing in the market. We all know that all of our communities have different markets. Something might be popping off in one area, it may not be in the other area. So how do you do it right? And then on February 11th, we're going to be focusing on your forms. So tactics, timings, terms, how to be successful, whether you're listing or selling, and which forms to use at the appropriate time. And then on April 22nd, we'll take a break in March, and we're going to focus on team dynamics. We all know that's a hot topic. We opened up our kickoff of Accelerate for 2026 a couple of weeks ago, and we had one of our amazing teams, the Revesta team, chat with their successes and their trials and tribulations. We're going to be sharing some advice on structure, team strategic, whether it's hiring a new person, how to find that balance, and then this shared success stories as well from other team members. So
I love that legacy plan that you are authoring, and I think Team Revesta and others that are following are emblematic of what is the future for our industry, because I think we have many top producing agents, and hitting 100 million in sales is becoming more and more common annually. But as you ascend further, you need that support. And what we know with team development in the legacy plan is that this is a beautiful brand that wants to travel, and part of that lifestyle offering, and leaving a team at home as well to handle the business while you might be out there working on a referral network or enjoying the sunset of life without sunsetting your revenue. So I think that's such an important observation, and watching it be cultivated into our culture, and also watching teams adopting that format, and then the trainings that go around that is just so pivotal. So congratulations there. Let's sidebar for a second, Natalie. You just attended Level Up. And as you know, we've hosted that in the past here. And tell me about some of your key takeaways, and what does that say about the importance of inspiration and the culture that we keep with this brand?
Sure. Because I'm a total geek, to be honest with you, the biggest takeaway for me was everything AI.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give too much away, because we're going to be sharing that during the all-company meeting on the 19th. But there are 10 different AIs that we're going to be recommending. We'll be demoing those during the meeting, so I'm excited to share those at that event.
Fabulous. We also recently had a lunch and learn with a leading law firm looking at tax planning, estate planning, and dynamics surrounding, death and divorce and some of those life changes. Tell us about the format of that and what you think was successful about that kind of learning.
Sure. So a few things was I worked with their team directly to find out what are some of the issues that they find their real estate clients coming to them with. So the people that have the divorcees and sending the referral to them. And so we blocked out what the high points were.
Yeah.
And then I gave them basically a hit list of what I hear from our branch managers. What are their hit points when it comes to estate issues and things like that? Because our managing brokers, they get a lot of hot questions that come their way and they're having to share a lot of advice, right? So I took a combination of those two with the help of ChatGPT. Another AI, of course. I wrote a script for them. I did a priority of different subjects that we needed and then what questions we'd be asking them, anticipating what our brokers would want to learn during that class. And then we gave those scripts to them, said they practiced them, they knew what questions they would ask. And of course, our brokers came with additional questions, but basically I teed it up for them. They're the experts, they had the answers, and they were able to take it away.
I love the format and using our beautiful venues and our food and beverage partners so that we could host a luncheon. And we had a packed house right in this location, about 40 or so participants plus a few online. And it just is a collaborative environment. You're sharing a meal, you're sharing information, and you can be a little more vulnerable in a group like that. It's not a classroom format and you're being scored and tested. It's more of a, hey, I just learned from you and you learned from me and we learned from a leading expert on a topic that really matters. And that's one thing that I am just so thankful for your leadership. We are a company that wants to move to where the market's going next. We understand that trends are always pivoting and we have to stay in front of those trend lines, right? And so when you do lunch and learns or accelerate classes or the broker collaboration hours, they are so helpful to bring that to the forefront of our broker mindset so that they're better positioned to serve their clients. And speaking of the collaboration hours, what are some examples of those being hosted? Because I love that we're at a point now where the company is also educating itself from those that
Sure. I don't want to take too much credit from that because that is broker led. So what a few of our agents will do, I know that in Bainbridge, they do the huddle group. In Kirkland, for our East Side brokers, Jeff hosts that one. But it's basically the same sort of idea of what I did with our lunch and learn, hearing what our brokers have to say, what are their current issues, and then everyone just comes in and says, I've had the same issue. I've come across the same thing, and this is how I dealt with it. Well, I dealt with it in this other manner, and just using the forces together of, hey, A plan may not work for you, but B plan may, and just doing the shared support, like with my twin sister.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of that symbiotic thing of supporting one another of like, hey, I need help. I don't know what to do in this situation. I've tried this strategy. It's not worked for me. And sharing that, hey, I've tried this. Why don't you try that? That's what I love about the culture of all of our 6 offices across the board. The broker culture is incredibly supportive of one another, which isn't seen in a lot of other brokerages.
So Natalie, you've done such a great job with structured programs and educational curriculum. What are some other examples of the culture we have here of caring for one another in the company?
I know, for example, our Facebook forum has been a great place for our brokers to not just only share vendors, but also support each other. Like, I remember a couple of days ago, a broker said that there was a window leak and they needed a handyman and their person wasn't available or something of the sort. Our brokers chimed in, have you contacted this person? Have you contacted this person? So they're sharing their private book of business with others, which is great, but they're also doing other things. Like we had a staff member who had a house get broken into, and there was so much support and love that was shared upon that person. We have others that say, hey, I need help with an open house. And another person says, I'm right there for you. Or I'm in a pickle. I need keys delivered to someone. That support is there on that platform as well.
And I love that it's organic and it's not something that we dictate. It's the caring nature of our brokers to help one another, because at the end of the day, we are, one company and we want to see everybody ascend. The 3 things that I find often are inspiration, education, and activation. So oftentimes we're looking for that inspiration to learn something I didn't know I needed to learn, to improve my business, and seeing it being demonstrated by somebody else and how it could be applied to my business inspires me to be better. Education, I mean, clearly we need to know how to do it, including your tutorials and best practices. And again, working with them in those collaboration hours, the work labs, where you're actually doing it together and starting that accountability as a group. And then activation, which is the full deployment of it as a campaign, because I think so often we might learn something but fail to deploy. Or working in, oh, I'm a perfectionist, I'm going to do that when it's perfect. And then, of course, you've got 14 projects that are developed but not deployed. What do you see in the future for RSIR as we grow and continue to nurture the vertical of our education and learning department?
I think always collaboration. So people reaching out to me and letting me know, like, hey, these are some struggles. Can we get some training on that? I think that is always something that I want. But Project Accelerate is going to continue. And as people focus not on what business is at hand, but what they're doing to prepare themselves for future business. And whether it's a system or a tool, or it's a mindset, or it's giving them that type of coaching for that mindset, whatever that may be. I think that's where the big thing is, especially with our Mindshift in 26 theme for Project Accelerate, is making sure that our brokers have the right mindset, whether it's looking back at old tools that they have, that they just haven't even touched because they're like, I'm too busy to look at that, and seeing like, hey, that's the magic. That's what you need to get more business coming into the future, so that you're not sitting there with a dry pipeline after your next closing.
And you've been at this for many years with us. You've ascended yourself and so many around you. How do you know that the job is well done? What is the feeling that you have in working with your brokers, knowing that this is?
I think that when we do our work labs, when everyone walks away just giving each other like, oh my gosh, it was so great. That type of like high energy. That's where I feel like, okay, my job was done. We had a really great class. It was good.
Well, Natalie, thank you so much for all of your contributions. It is truly inspiring. We are always evolving together, and the best is yet to come. For more information, feel free to reach out to us online, follow us on social media. This has been Broker Perspectives, and we will see you next time.